Margaret River mass murder-suicide. Australia's worst multiple shooting since 35 were gunned down in Port Arthur in 1996, sparking gun crackdown. Tragedy in Western Australia is the first mass shooting massacre since 1996. It is the worst gun massacre since 35 people were gunned down at Port Arthur. The death of 7 people near Margaret River is worse since 1996 gun laws. The shooting deaths of 7 people at a rural property south of Perth are Australia's worst mass shooting. Since the 1996 Port Arthur massacre sparked new gun laws, Australia had not experienced a mass shooting massacre, defined as the death of 5 or more people, since 35 people were gunned down at the historic Tasmanian tourist attraction on April 28, 1996. However, the confirmed deaths of 4 children and 3 adults at a rural property in Western Australia has changed this. The shooting deaths of 7 people at a rural property south of Perth are Australia's worst mass shooting since the 1996 Port Arthur massacre. Seascape guest house pictured, which sparked new gun laws. The gun deaths of 7 people in rural Osmington, about 21 kilometers east of Margaret River, marks the first mass shooting since the Port Arthur massacre led to new national gun laws. Before the Port Arthur massacre, in and around the Broad Arrow Cafe, at the hands of Martin Bryant, 7 people in August 1987 were gunned down at Hoddle Street in central Melbourne. Just 4 months later, only 2 weeks before Christmas 1987, 9 people were killed as part of the Queen Street shooting massacre in Melbourne city centre. In August 1991, 7 people were killed at Strathfield Plaza in Sydney's Inner West when a gunman shot dead 6 people in the mall after he had stabbed a teenage girl. The gunman Wade Frankham killed himself as police arrived at the scene. After more than 2 decades of being spared mass gun murders, the nightmare of firearm violence has returned to Australia. On Friday morning, West Australian Police Commissioner Chris Dawson said officers were called to the property in the Margaret River area at about 5:15 am on Friday, and described the deaths as a significant tragedy. Police are currently responding to what I can only describe as a horrific incident, he told reporters in Perth. He said 2 bodies were located outside a building, while 5 were found inside. 2 firearms were found at the scene. Perth homicide detectives are helping local police in the state's southwest with the investigation. Before the Port Arthur massacre, there had been 13 mass shootings in Australia. Until Friday morning, Australia had not suffered a mass shooting since 1996, a point which former Prime Minister John Howard had made to American journalists as the architect of national laws banning semi-automatic rifles. However, 2 people were killed at Sydney's Lint Cafe in Martin Place in December 2014, after gunman Man Monis shot dead cafe manager Tory Johnson at the end of a 16-hour siege, which led to Katrina Dawson being killed by a police bullet fragment. Mass murders have recently occurred in Australia, with a woman in the Cairns suburb of Manoora charged in December 2014 with killing 8 children, aged 18 months to 14, 7 of whom were her own children. She was an aunt to the 8th child.